depending on what time frame you looked at. Doctors Without Borders, a nonpartisan group, did a study. They talked to thousands of women who made the journey to the United States through the use of cartels. And 31% of them admitted to being raped by the members of cartels, sexually assaulted. So I like to tell people they want to say how inhumane the Trump administration was. That says, if we're down 83 to 90% down, decreasing illegal immigration, which means 83 to 90% less people are coming. Yeah. How many women did get raped? How many children didn't die in the river? How many women and children were sex trafficked because the Border Patrol was on the border vigilant 100%? How many no suspected terrorists didn't cross the border? How many Americans didn't die from fentanyl coming across this open border? President Trump's policy saved lives. Saved lives. A secure border saved lives. And I've done this for 34 years. A secure border saves lives. And under the last administration, we had the most secure border in my lifetime, which saved thousands of lives. And this administration turned it off. And now we got record number of Americans dying, a record number of migrants dying because of the inaction of this administration. And that's why everybody, they ask me, why do you get so emotional when you testify? Why do you get emotional on the Fox network? Because if they've seen what I've seen in 34 years, they'd be pissed off too. Look, I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by these animals in the cartels. And when you sit down and look into a little girl's eyes, 9 years old, and see that everything innocent has been stolen from her, and her life will never be the same, and she's broken. It's a broken spirit, a broken soul. Then you understand why I'm emotional about this, because this stuff happens every day. While you and me are talking right now, women are being sexually assaulted by members of the cartels. While you and I are talking right now, a child's going to die making this journey. So that's why it's so important we secure the border. And look, and I've been saying a lot of these family groups see children that come in. Over 400,000 children have entered the United States under the Joe Biden administration. The government's lost a track of like 100,000 of them. It was 85,000. Now we're close to 100,000. 100,000 kids that they released to so-called vetted sponsors that now they can't find. So, and I guarantee you, I said the victims of trafficking, some are going to be in pornographic movies, some are living with pedophiles, some are in forced labor. Matter of fact, as you've seen over the last 6 months, there's been several investigations where they find children working in, for one example, a meat packing plant, cleaning up entrails at a midnight shift. We're not getting any pay. Children. So they have been trafficking in the United States because this administration has sent a clear message. If you cross the border illegally, we're not going to detain you. We're not going to remove you. We're going to fly you to the city of your choice and deliver you to the very people that paid to smuggle you in the country. Well, not only that, they stopped the high-level DNA test and make sure that child's actually with a parent, as that parent claims that's a child. And we know, when I was director of ICE, we had numerous investigations where the cartels were renting children to single men so they can claim to be a family unit, because they knew family units would have to be released because of the Ninth Circuit decision to go into hold families for 20 days. But look, it's terrible what this administration doing. And like I said, not only Becerra, but Secretary Mayorkas, their instructions to Border Patrol agents is process as quick as you can, release as quick as you can, because if there's no overcrowding, nothing to see here. We can keep saying the border's secure. When they had the 15,000 Haitians under that bridge, and Fox drone called that was a bad day for administration. So the only thing this administration has done on our southwest border is send more resources to the border to process quicker and release quicker. They haven't done a damn thing to slow the flow. Not one thing.
You've got these people hiring human traffickers, actual human traffickers.
Or smugglers.
Not smugglers, traffickers. Yeah. There are traffickers who kidnap kids, who rape them, drag them across the border, and these are the same people that the other illegal immigrants will go to and pay. Yeah. And so we hear these horrifying stories that these smugglers, let's say the lighter version of the coyotes, they overwhelmingly rape young girls as they do this. It's not a victimless crime. This should not be allowed to continue. Now,
like 40%.
It's an insane number.
It's not like, there's, occasionally it happens. And I know they went after my father a lot when he said it, but that's the reality. I had Tom Homan, a former head of ICE, on my Triggered podcast like 2 weeks ago, and he's talking about, the stories that these guys could tell. If you could show those videos, if you could show those stories to the American public, you'd be building a wall in about 3 seconds if people understood the reality of what's actually going on down there.
I've done some reporting on the ground of the refugee crisis that was spurred on by a lot of the caravans that ended up in Tijuana. And there was a lot of problems, not just when it came to sanitation, not just when it came to a lot of the diseases and viruses that were being spread everywhere, but specifically with assaults on women and children, specifically to the point where they needed an entire other area to house people and to put people in because of the huge amounts of violations that were happening against women, that were happening against children. And when you look at a large number of the people coming through, it's fighting age males. It's males that, of course, are in the peak of their age. They're coming here to this country, and this is something that sadly we don't hear talked about at all because there's a big censorship effort trying to deny us this reality. But a lot of these people are lied to. They're told, hey, we're going to give you all this stuff. There's all these opportunities. Just come on here. Everything's going to be amazing and great for you. And for a lot of them, it's not. And it's not just hurting Americans, but it's also hurting them as well. As, of course, a lot of multinational corporations also take advantage of them. They put them in, of course, laborious situations where they don't have to pay them like they would an American. And they're the ones also being taken advantage of. And from a humanitarian perspective, we have to understand here, I understand what Ian is trying to convey, but I think just stopping the incentivizing of this larger program from moving forward, just stop funneling it, stop giving it money, that would solve a lot of the problems. Go after the corporations hiring these people, go after all these incentives, and then you won't need to deport people. People won't leave because the people will naturally leave.
But Donald Trump did this.
Yeah. Like, by the way,
famously went after several meat processing plants. We've talked about it quite a bit.
We've seen this done. It's not, and that's sort of the thing about my father running right now, right? Like, he did all of the things he said he was. Like, we know we can do this. Them pretending like, oh, it's impossible. We just can't do it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we had these numbers down. I mean, the amount of, you talk about the fighting age males, but they're showing up with young girls that clearly aren't their children, and they won't do the DNA tests anymore because it doesn't matter, and they're just like, well, we just got to push it through. It's too much to handle. I mean, we are enabling a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions, and those same Hollywood elites are just fine with that. Maybe, listen, I guess they're all on the Epstein tape, so they're probably let the attention go elsewhere.
You have a 27-year-old male with a 10-year-old girl cross the border, and the Trump administration said, who is that young girl? Because we know the Coyotes are trafficking and raping young girls. And then the Democrats go, oh, no, they're separating the daughter from her father. It's like, that's some guy with some kid who is trafficking them. And we know that there's a large amount of rape going on. We need to figure out if these are victims being trafficked. But these liberals, these Democrats, the corporate press, they don't care.